minute or so more. Pradeep's question is about how do you earn? Yeah, so you're talking about learn coins, I guess. So don't worry, just by attending this session, you will. Okay, so we are live on socials. Let's start. So hi everyone, I'm Rohas Nathwal, and welcome to this session where we are going to talk about getting started with Web3. What are the kind of careers that are there in it, and what do we really mean by Web3? What are the various aspects of it? And if you're attending this session on Creator, then you automatically will be earning Learn tokens, which you can then use later for premium courses. So, but of course, if you're watching me on any other social media platform, you can watch everything, participate, but you will not end up learning the tokens. So let me quickly share my screen. Give me a second. Okay. So on the screen, you should be able to see a mind map with the word Web3 mind map by Rohas Nagpal. Can you let me know if that's visible to all of you, and then I'll start off. And Pranav, yes, I'll take your question very soon. Okay, sure, yes, awesome. So the first thing that I want to talk about are the four basic core principles of Web3. So what do we mean by Web3? So we say that something is Web3 if it has four characteristics, as you can see them here: trustless, crypto native, decentralized, and permissionless. So trustless doesn't mean that nobody trusts anybody. It means that you do not trust people. You do not trust companies. You trust code. And that is where, if you've heard of the word smart contracts, that's where that comes from. So a smart contract is a self-executing software program, usually run inside blockchains like Ethereum, for example. And when we use that, we are trusting the software code. We are trusting the smart contract. We are not trusting human beings. That's what it really means. But of course, that's just a guidance, because in the Web3 world, you will come across cryptocurrencies. In that, you will come across something like a stable coin. Now, in a stable coin, you have to trust the person issuing it to you. Don't worry if you don't know what stable coins are. I'm just giving an example. So there we have to trust the company which is issuing us that stable coin. So trustlessness also has to be taken with a pinch of salt. The second criteria or aspect is crypto native. So what does that mean? Now, crypto native means that whatever this Web3 platform or solution you're talking about, it fundamentally uses cryptos as a layer. So if you're talking about payments, then instead of just taking fiat currency like dollars, you will use, say, a Bitcoin, ETH, BNB. So crypto native is another very important part, because that gives it the element of decentralized, which is the third step. And what we mean by decentralized is that ownership is with builders and users and not with large companies. But again, this is not really so true. Take a classic example. Just yesterday, Binance Smart Chain, which is like one of the most popular blockchains in the world, that was attacked. A lot of crypto was stolen, but more importantly, the entire chain was paused. And the moment a chain gets paused, you suddenly realize it is not decentralized. It is obviously a small bunch of people controlling it. That's how they are able to stop the chain. Logically, even if an attack is happening, why should the blockchain stop? So I would say decentralization, we talk about it a lot, the media talks. In reality, it's not so much. Like even Bitcoin, which is otherwise very decentralized, if you realize the top 5 mining pools are controlling more than 50% of Bitcoin mining. So it's not really so decentralized as we would like it to be. There's an interesting question by Yuganka, that is Web3 supported on mobile? Yes, definitely it is. So, I mean, when you look at a blockchain framework like Celo, that is actually meant to be used on the mobile devices. So definitely Web3 can run on that. Suman says, why would Binance not hard fork like Ethereum did? Very good question. So Binance is actually a very tightly controlled blockchain. I think there are about 11 validators only. And these validators need to lock in about 10,000 BNB, which is millions worth. And that is why it's actually not decentralized at all. Ethereum, on the other hand, doesn't require you to lock anything when you are going to be validating transactions. and you could actually, anybody could run it. So chances of an Ethereum getting forked are much higher, or a Bitcoin getting forked are much higher, because there are a lot more decentralized as compared to something like Solana or BNB Smart Chain. Hope that answers your question, Sumit. Then the fourth aspect, which I think is probably more important, is permissionless, right? So permissionless means anybody can be a part. Like if you want to take part in regular centralized activities, you need to get permissions from banks, insurance companies, whoever controls that platform. Like for example, on Instagram, if you have to put an ad, the Instagram team has to approve your ad. Otherwise, you can't even advertise. But in the decentralized world, you don't need permission. Anybody can participate without needing permissions. So usually these are the four core principles behind something being Web3. In reality, some Web3 applications could have just one. I'm going to talk about some of the use cases very soon. Suman's question is crypto native a must with crypto to finance payments available like Stripe? So Suman, that's a good question. No, it is not a must. Even these four, there is no rule anywhere. See, you must realize Web3 is not a legal definition. It is not defined by any law. It is a technological, conceptual definition. So these are usually the four principles, but they are not compulsory at all. Any other questions? Now I have a question for you guys. So out of these four, can you just type which is the most important? Like according to you, what is most important? Trustless, crypto native, decentralized, or permissionless? While you guys are answering, I'll answer Suman's question. Won't community be a corporate? See, community is not a principle. A community is just the users who use it. So whether it's central, Web3, non-Web3, it would be that. Now, when you look at people's opinions, it's very interesting to see that different people think differently, right? So for many of you, decentralized is important. For some of you, trustless is important. For some of you, permissionless. So we all have our own way of thinking. I think very few of you like crypto native. That's not important for many of you. Sure, that's a good way of thinking. Personally, if I was to look at it, I would say for me, the trustless is the most important. I believe that in a world where we can trust code more than people is the future. But again, we can have our own opinions. I hope it's all clear. Any questions before I go on to the next step? Okay. Now, the second thing that I want to talk to you guys about is that when we talk about blockchain, right, there are different kinds of blockchains. Usually, you must be hearing the words like layer 1, layer 2, or L1, L2, right? Before I go on, Yuganka's got a nice question. How will a permissionless system stop funding for terrorism? It won't, Yuganka. And I have another point here. Sometimes defining terrorism is not an easy thing to do. For example, before India became independent, all the freedom fighters who were fighting for independence, are they terrorists or are they freedom fighters? Now, if you look as per the law of India before 15th August 1947, they were all considered founding fathers, or they were considered freedom fighters by us, as in the Indians. But for the British, they were considered terrorists. But the moment we got independent, they are now considered founding fathers of our country. So this terrorism control is a very complicated question. Sometimes one country's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter. So I understand your point of view, but it's also not a very easy problem to solve. And it's not like terrorists don't get funding without crypto. See, a lot of people think crypto is only used by criminals. No, crime was there forever. Before money also came in the world, there was crime. When crypto came, there was still crime. Now also there is crime, and there will remain crime even later. So crypto is just another thing that can be misused, but that's about it. So now let me go on to the next point about blockchain. Now, blockchains usually come under three layers: L0, L1, and L2. Now, let me first explain layer 1. That is the original. So, when Bitcoin started, it was the world's first blockchain. And layer 1 means Bitcoin can settle transactions on its own. It does not need any other network. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. A transaction which happens on the Bitcoin network is finalized on the Bitcoin network without the need to talk to any other network. So based on that concept, we first had Bitcoin, and then a lot of other systems came. So here you can see, Litecoin. So you can see Litecoin, that was one of the earliest which came into the picture. And then we saw things like, Algorand, Avalanche, so many of them came in, Cardano. All these are considered L1 because they settle their own transactions. But Ethereum, when it started to get more popular, people realized that it is slow and it is costly. So that led to the birth of layer 2. So consider layer to be like a parallel chain or a side chain. You do transactions on layer 2. So you can do thousands of transactions in a second, whereas on layer 1 you could do very few. And from time to time, the layer 2 will peg or connect or send some data to the layer 1, and then those transactions are considered properly validated. So what we mean by a layer 2 is something which depends upon a layer 1 for finalization. So Srabjot, I hope I get your pronunciation right. Your question is XRP is which layer? So XRP would come under layer 1 because they don't need anything else to settle it. So that's an L1. Although usually, to be very honest, I don't count them under blockchain. I usually count it under, so Ripple is not really a blockchain, right? Ripple is a whole different technological platform. XRP happens to be their crypto. But for simplicity, we can call it an L1. Yeah, Bhavya, I'm coming to L0. So now that you've understood L1 and L2, let's go to what is L0. Now that's a newer concept, and you must have heard about Polkadot. So Polkadot can be considered to be a base layer. It runs something called relay chain. On top of that, you are building parallel blockchains. So as a developer, I can go to Polkadot or Cosmos or Horizon, and then I can build multiple actual blockchains, each having their own tokens, but they will rely upon the relay chain for certain things like finality. Now, many of you may feel that layer 0 kind of sounds like an L1, L2 relationship, because after all, Polygon can be used to do stuff on Ethereum. So if I create a parallel chain or a parachain on Polkadot, why can't I call that as an L1, L2? So again, this is not a legal definition. Polkadot says they are L0, so does Cosmos and Horizon. And there are certain features there which are a little different. And that's the reason we call them L0. So simple definition, L1 settles transactions on its own without the need for another chain. L2 requires the base chain to settle, and L0 enables you to create L1 on top of it. I hope that concept is clear to all of you. Okay, Sarabji says XRP is which layer? Yeah, we already answered that. Tejas says, how can layer 1 trust layer 2? Actually, they don't. It is layer 2 which trusts layer 1. Layer 1 does not trust layer 2. That's why I told you. L1 settles its own transaction, so it does not trust anyone else. It doesn't need to. Classic example I could give you is of Bitcoin and then something called Lightning Network or something called Stacks. Lightning Network has to trust Bitcoin. Stacks has to trust Bitcoin. Polygon has to trust Ethereum, but not the other way around. Ethereum doesn't care that Polygon exists. Bitcoin doesn't care whether Stacks exist. So please remember, layer 1 doesn't have to trust layer 2. It's the other way around. So I hope that answers your question, Tejas. Bhavya's question is, can you please highlight the difference between L0, L1? We just did that. So like I said, L1 settles on its own, L2 needs an L1, L0 allows you to create your own L1. Shrabjot says, but they are fast and scalable. Yes, so the reason L2s were created was to solve the problem of speed and scalability of L1. And that's the reason L2 was created. Now, if the L1s over a period of time become better, faster, more scalable, then you will not need L2. And that's the ideal situation. But see, Ethereum, which is the most important L1 today, it will take a very long time for it to become fast and scalable and cheap. Because that's not going to happen only with the merge which has just taken place. Sharding and many other things have to still happen. So till then, Polygon is very important. But if Ethereum becomes very fast, very cost effective and all, then we won't need L2s. Hope that is clear to you guys. Trustless comes from smart contracts, and that is where most hacking happens. Your comment, Suman. Yeah, that's a good question. So when we talk about smart contracts, what does it really mean? A smart contract is neither smart nor contract. It's just a word. Smart contract is an auto executing software. It's like a code which executes on its own. Let me give you an example. So let's say that I'm taking a flight and I'm worried that if my flight is delayed, I may miss something else and I will have to end up losing money. So I can take an insurance policy which will check if my flight lands on time, my policy is over. If my flight lands late, automatically it will give me money. How? That is where smart contract comes in. They look for certain situations, like they look for a timing, they look for a price, and they auto execute. So we don't need a third party human being to pay us the money. The smart contract handles all this. Now, because smart contracts are so important, that's where the hacking happens. So let's take an example of the world's first DAO. It was a decentralized autonomous organization created on Ethereum as a smart contract, but the coding was badly done, because of which people hacked into it and millions of dollars were stolen. And that led to the Ethereum blockchain breaking into two parts: the original, which is today called ETC or Ethereum Classic, and the new version, which is Ethereum or ETH, which is Vitalik's version of it. All this happened because the smart contract was hacked. Then I'm going to talk to you about bridges. They are ultimately also smart contracts, and they are the ones most attacked because they are holding large amounts of crypto. So you are absolutely right. Smart contracts are constantly being attacked. That is why I always recommend to developers, don't try to write your own. As far as possible, use third party open source libraries of code. So I would strongly recommend something called Open Zeppelin. They've got a brilliant library of codes which have been tested very well. So instead of each of us writing our own code, let's use these open source libraries because they're very well tested. Chances of them getting hacked is like 1%. Chances of regular code getting hacked is maybe 90%. Having said that, Binance recently like got hacked. I mean, they're a multi-billion-dollar company. They hire the best developers, even they got hacked. So there is no guarantee. But I recommend using third parties. Unless, of course, what you're creating is very complex and nobody else has ever made something. Right? Hope that is clear to you guys. I see a lot of interesting questions. So, Suman, I hope this answered your question. Kavita says layer 2 are basically tokens. No. Layer 2 are blockchains which are connecting or hooking to a layer 1 blockchain. They can all have their own tokens. So an L0 has tokens, Polkadot has DOT. L1 has tokens, Ethereum has ETH. L2 has tokens, Polygon has Matic. So token can be at any layer, it doesn't matter. Suman's question is, R3 Coda a blockchain as the real-time transaction? No, R3 Coda is not a blockchain, and they have said it also, that when they started, it was like a blockchain, but then they realized what they were trying to do, blockchain would not solve the purpose, because blockchain shares data with all nodes. They wanted only certain banks to be able to transact together. So R3 Coda is a blockchain inspired platform. It's not a blockchain. And they also say it is not. Shashank's question, will this be available on YouTube? Yes, it is being live streamed. Okay, Suman's question, Ethereum 2.0 or merge, is that layer 2? Layer 1 plus 2? No. So before, so what happened was, when Ethereum was to be technologically upgraded, they made a testnet, you could called Beacon Chain. That is where all the changes were happening. And then the two merged and it became live. So you could say in some ways, before the merge happened, Beacon Chain was a separate chain. And after the merge, they are into one. So Ethereum's technology has been upgraded with Beacon Chain, and that's what the meaning of merge is. So as of today, there is no separate chain called merge. Okay. Tejas's question is, when Polygon validates transactions and sends it to ETH? Yes, so that's what happens. So Polygon is doing its validation, so it can do tons. And then instead of each transaction going to Ethereum, Polygon validates a bunch and then pegs onto Ethereum. Nived's question is how transactions in L2 are finalized in L1. So there are various methods that we use for it. One of the most common methods is we do bundling. So suppose 10,000 transactions happen on L2. Then we bundle those 10,000 into one bundle, you can say, and a hash of that can be pushed onto the L1. So we made only one entry on L1 and it relates to 10,000 transactions on L2. So instead of all 10,000 hitting L1, only one hits it. So that's one way in which you can do it. Other than that, there are many other ways. So I'll cover those in a more advanced session. So you have roll-ups and lots of other options. Okay. Sindhuri's question is difference between Hyperledger and L0. Oh, very good question. So if you notice on my screen, I'll come back to bridges. Below that, there is something called framework. So a framework is like a software, whereas a layer 1, layer 2, layer 0 are running networks. Let's take an example. Right now, you're using a computer. So you're using an operating system. So I'm using a Mac, you may be using Windows, Mac, Linux. As long as you have only the software with you, we call it a framework. And when we actually run a blockchain on it, we call it a running blockchain network. So Hyperledger is a group of software like Hyperledger Fabric, Besu, there are many of them, multi-chain. These are softwares which you can use to create your own network. So when I use the word layer, I'm talking about a running network. When I use the word framework, I'm talking about the software which can be used to create a blockchain. So I hope that answered your question. Okay. The next one is from Anshul. Is settling transactions the only key criteria for identification? Yes. So Anshul, the most important thing in a blockchain is what we call as transactional finality. When is that transaction finalized? And because ultimately blockchains are distributed ledgers. So in a ledger, what is most critical is the transaction entry. So yes, we define this distinction based on the finality. Chetan's question is, what about BSV? Good question. So BSV or Bitcoin Satoshi Vision is one of the forks. So Bitcoin split into Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. Subsequently, Bitcoin Cash split into BSV. So that's another fork. But Bitcoin SV is not a layer 2. It is still L1. It forked from Bitcoin, but Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, all of them are L1s, layer 1s. Another question is from Happy. What are the official or trustworthy resources for this classification? Well, there isn't any official this thing. These are technologies. They're not law-based, so there is no government who has made a list. It's just kind of conventional. Like even internet, we talk about HTTP, SMTP. Where is all that? Those are ERC proposals, right? So they are proposals that are made. So in the blockchain world, again, people make proposals. It's not really legally, it's a technological discussion. Okay. Chetan says it promises higher transaction speed and volume than Bitcoin. Yes, it does. But in the last, I think 1 year, there have been 2 successful 51% attacks on BSV. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Srabjot says how escrow can be outdated in future because of blockchain and smart contract. So blockchains have a very interesting concept called atomic exchanges, which means either transaction goes both ways or fails both ways. So one is that removes the need for a lot of escrow. And secondly, in some cases where we do escrow, you can have multi-signature wallets. So I'm not saying blockchains will remove the need for escrow, it will automate it. Okay, what else? Yes, Gurmeet has put the link to Open Zeppelin. Yes, you can have a look at that code. Have a look at their Open Wizard. That's amazing. Arun Kumar says Trust Wallet versus MetaMask. Good question. Personally, I prefer MetaMask. Just a choice. I'm not saying one is better than the other. Junaid says which popular blockchain is built on top of layer 0? So there are many blockchains built on top of Cosmos. I can't remember the name offhand, but on Polkadot there are many parachains. So all of those parachains become L1s. Are layer 2 side chains? Yes, Happy. Most of them are side chains. Then Rashmida's question is, actually I'm in my second year. Okay, you guys are talking about internships. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Yeah, after the session. Yes, Chetan, we spoke about BSV. Can I call an application on R3 Coda as Web3? That's Suman's question. So again, like I said, while it's not a legal distinction, it has to be trustless, crypto native, decentralized, permissionless. Now, I don't work on Ripple, so I won't be able to answer this question. But if it has 3 out of 4, you can definitely call it Web3. It's okay. How do you execute faster transactions using Golang? So Ashish, that doesn't really make transactions faster. Those are just languages in which you can write smart contracts. Okay. Now let me move on to the concept of bridge, which is very important. So because there are many blockchains, how do we get two different blockchains to communicate with each other? So let me give you an example. Bitcoin is the most popular crypto in the world, but Ethereum is the most popular blockchain. Now, suppose I have a lot of Bitcoin and I want to use it to do transactions on Ethereum. But Ethereum only supports ERC tokens like ERC20, 721, 1155. Bitcoin is not an ERC20. So how do I use Bitcoin on Ethereum? That is where a bridge comes in. So WBTC is the most popular bridge. It will lock your Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain. Suppose it has locked one Bitcoin. It will then issue one Bitcoin called WBTC, wrapped Bitcoin, on the Ethereum blockchain as an ERC20 token. So you can use it on Ethereum. But now you cannot use your Bitcoin. It is locked. Only when you unlock it here, then it will give you your Bitcoin back then. And because it is a smart contract, you can see that yes, actually that much Bitcoin is locked on one chain, and against it, WBTC is issued on another. So you can verify that. It's very transparent. Just Cryptos is a bridge for the Tron environment. Multichain is another bridge. HBTC, there are many bridges. Now, because bridges hold so much crypto, they are the number one attack points for hackers, and they regularly get hacked, and millions of dollars are regularly stolen. Priyan says, I thought this was a basics class. People are experts here. Priyansh, I'm hoping what I'm saying are actually basics. I'm trying to keep it really simple. But if you guys feel it's tough, I mean, I'm hoping, I mean, some of these topics are basics. But don't worry, you'll probably get the hang of it soon. Bhavya says, ETH has entirely changed to POS since shredding and other steps are pending as of today. Sharding, you mean, okay. Thought of these questions is Binance offer staking of various tokens but not ETH yet. I am not sure about the answer to that. This is difference between parachain, sidechain. So parachain is kind of a unique term used only on the Polkadot network. So because they have a relay chain, and parachains have to connect to relay chain. It's compulsory. Whereas side chains, there's no compulsion. So that's just a wording difference. WBTC is acting as a money exchange in layman language. Yes, Anshul, you are absolutely right. So suppose I was to go to Singapore. In there, they use Singapore dollar. In India, we use INR. So I will go to a bank, change INR to Singapore dollar and use it. What if I don't do that? I carry an international credit card. I go there, and in Singapore, when I put that card into an ATM machine, it gives me Singapore dollars. When I come to India and I use the same card, it gives me INR. So in some ways, you can consider it to be a bridge. So that's a very good example. Arun Kumar, how do cryptos deployed in the metaverse is meta? Okay, so metaverse, I mean, with all due respect, I'm not a very big fan of it, and I'll explain to you why. The reason is metaverse has been around for 20 years. I've been using it since the times of Second Life, and I feel it's still a long way to go. But having said that, in metaverse, the assets that you have are going to be blockchain based. So suppose in the metaverse, I buy a t-shirt. Now this black t-shirt, if I buy in the metaverse, is going to be an NFT, which means I can take it from one metaverse and sell it in another metaverse. Or if I buy it in one, I can wear it in another. That's the ideal dream. So blockchain assets will make metaverses more connected to each other. But then it's still a very early stage in metaverse, so I don't know how things are actually going to happen. Happy's question is, will bridges be issuing a new wallet address or trans? So obviously new addresses, because your Bitcoin address does not work on Ethereum. That's a very important point to remember. So if you try to send crypto to the wrong address, it's gone forever. So remember, your addresses on all chains are not the same. So in MetaMask, you will notice it's only EVM chain. So you can use the same address on Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. But if you try using it on Tron or you try using it on Bitcoin, it's not valid. So you will get a new address. Okay. Arun Kumar's question is explain about DeFi. I'm coming to DeFi very shortly. So we did layer 0, layer 1, layer 2 bridges framework. Smart contracts, I told you, self-executing. Now the most popular smart contract language is Solidity. Viper, Rust, Cairo, these are also popular, but if you're getting into smart contracts, I would recommend Solidity. Based on TVL, total value locked, Solidity is about 60 billion and the next one is not even 6. So Solidity absolutely is the most popular today. So I would recommend, if you want, learn Solidity. Then token standards are important. So when we create this, like how is it that there is so much interoperability? Like how is a MetaMask able to support tokens created on Ethereum mainnet as well as on Binance Chain and few others? Because those tokens use the same standard. So in the Ethereum world, we call it ERC. Now, these standards, ERC20 is used for fungible. So like dollars, bit, anything which is the same, like all ETHs are the same as each other. There's no difference between one ETH and another. So we call them fungible. That's ERC20. Non-fungible, which could be digital art or something, we call it non-fungible token, NFT, that is ERC721. Then we have a new improved standard called ERC1155, there's 777. There are lots of standards. Now, as long as we use these standards, automatically we can support multiple wallets. So as a developer, if I build an ERC20 client for my client, right, any MetaMask wallet in the world will support it. So it is better to use common standards rather than using very obscure ones. So I hope that part is clear. Okay, Prakash wants to know about the Binance hack. Prakash, that's a little advanced, so maybe in a future session. Today I won't cover that. Arun Kumar's question is OpenSea secure? Now I'll tell you very honestly, I started my career as a hacker in the early 1990s, and I can tell you for sure, there is no software in the world which is 100% hack proof. Any software in time will get hacked. So if anybody tells you that blockchain is unhackable, rubbish. Bitcoin got hacked, and I mean the actual Bitcoin protocol got hacked about 2010, if I'm not wrong, where there are only supposed to be 21 million, but they actually created billions of Bitcoins. Of course, when the hack was fixed, anything can be hacked. DAOs have been hacked, smart contracts are hacked, OpenSea has been hacked in the past, but many times what gets hacked is not the OpenSea protocol, but individual users get hacked or phishing happens. But yes, anything can be hacked. Nived says L2 connected to L1. Yes, we did that in detail. Ashish says, is Ethereum merge affecting L2? No, it doesn't make any difference. So even as a user, the merge has not made any difference to you. Your ETH didn't change, nothing changed for you. The changes were only for validators. Miners can no longer mine, you need validation. That has changed, but for an end user, nothing has changed. Yuganka's question is, ERC is for Ethereum. So that means we can only use Ethereum to create. No, not like that. You can create it on multiple. So for example, you can use Solana for creating NFTs. The only thing is a Solana NFT will not use or run in MetaMask. So if you want to use MetaMask, then you have to use EVM compatible chains. If you want to use something else, like you want to use Solana, then use Phantom wallet. Now Phantom with PH, not F. F Phantom is a blockchain. PH Phantom is a wallet for Solana. Nived, is recording available? Yes. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, Twitter or YouTube, this session is being live streamed and the recording will be there. So you can watch it later also. Okay. Arun Kumar's question is, what does it mean by DApp? So DApp is a decentralized application. App is normal. A website can be an app. A mobile app can be an app. But when an app connects to the blockchain, we call it DApp, distributed app. So the only distinction is, if your app has any element of blockchain to it, we call it a DApp. Anshuman wants to know how to start with Web3. Give me 5 minutes. I'm going to come to that. If the cybersecurity will save from hacking, Arun Kumar, yes, it does. But like I said, there is never anything 100%. After sharding, if Ethereum will be able to speed up, yes, sharding is expected to help, because what sharding does is it breaks the data into multiple chains. So sharding comes from the word of databases, where if the database is too large, you split it into parts. So Ethereum is likely to be split into 64 shards. But let's see, there's still a long way to go for that. Okay, let me quickly go on to use cases of Web3. So when it comes to Web3, one use case is DAO, which is decentralized autonomous organization, which is like a company on the blockchain. So just like you have company where shareholders can vote, in DAO every token holder can vote. So that's a very good Web3 use case. Decentralized advertising, if you guys are aware of the Brave browser, anyone here uses Brave browser? It's one of my favorites. And it is part of the BAT ecosystem, basic attention token. It is completely, Keshav uses it, that's good. It is completely changing the way advertising happens, right? So where today we have centralized, BAT is decentralizing it. So I can see a lot of you are using it. Abhishek says credit card payments are issues in that. Oh, okay, that's a problem. Uh, okay. So digital advertising or decentralized advertising is another use case. Then decentralized finance, that's the biggest use case in Web3, where we talk about all kinds of yields and farms and decentralized exchanges that comes in. We have hybrid finance, which connects central finance to the world of blockchain. We have tokenization, where there is a coffee coin backed by coffee, gold coin backed by real gold, stable coins backed by fiat currency. So we call that tokenization. I'm working on a project where we are tokenizing intellectual property like copyright of movies and books and music. So all that comes under the tokenization use case. Then metaverse and gaming is also considered a Web3 use case because they use NFTs and all, or blockchain based assets. And then NFTs and collectibles. So any of you guys collect stamps? Or in school, were you ever collecting postage stamps? I used to, and I still love collecting them. So now there are some countries. Can you answer yes if any of you are actually collecting stamps? Anupama says yes. Anybody else? Okay, so collecting stamps doesn't seem to be very popular. But there are some countries like Austria where the government is issuing postage stamps with NFT. So Austrian government has come out with a series. When you buy the postage stamp in physical form, it comes with a QR code and comes with its own NFT. So that is also a use case of Web3 of NFT and collectibles. Someone has given an example of Pokemon cards. Okay, that may be a good example. Uh, okay. Someone's question is CBDC under hi-fi? So central bank digital currencies can be considered to be hi-fi, but I'd like to clarify, central bank digital currencies don't have to use blockchain. So sometimes, I mean, they ideally shouldn't use. I don't believe CBDCs should use blockchain. It should be a private system run by the central bank of the country. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Now, I'd like to briefly tell you that cryptos. So I don't like using the word cryptocurrency for everything because all cryptos are not currencies, right? So that's why it is better to use a word like crypto asset, and then we can divide it into 5 types. So as you can see on my screen, one is currencies, which you actually use for payments. Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Litecoin, examples of it. Then we have governance tokens where you can only vote using it. So Uniswap, you must have heard of that platform. Their governance token is Uni. So then there are some more examples. Then there is something called privacy coin. So while Bitcoin is used as a currency, all transactions are visible to everyone. So privacy coins take it to the next level where you cannot make out anything between who is transacting and how much. They have enhanced privacy layer. We call them privacy coins. Classic example is Monero. Then we have utility coins which you are using to pay for something. Like if you want to do any transaction on Ethereum, you have to pay fees in it. So we say it is a utility token. ETH, BNB, all these are on blockchain and you have to pay fees using them. Finally, we have wrapped assets, which are tokenizations of real world product. So US dollars, stable coins are available. So crypto assets come under 5 categories. So any questions? Is it all clear? Okay. Now someone's asking about non-techies getting in. Now I'm going to answer that question. Team Creator has already put up the link to one of the earlier streams about non-tech jobs in this field. I made a stream on that. You can have a look at it. Now let's have a look at careers. I think a lot of you will be interested in knowing about this. So there are many different kinds of careers that you can make, and sometimes people have multiple. Like in my example, I work as a blockchain architect and token economist and blockchain lawyer. So actually people usually do multiple roles. So now if you are getting into tech, right? Can you see it on my screen? Let me make it a little bigger if it's not visible. I hope you guys can easily see this. So just give me a yes. Awesome. So in technology, you can become a blockchain architect. So architect's job is to help the client choose or for a particular project, which blockchain should we be using? Should we use a framework and make our own custom? Should we use an L0 and make our own custom? Should we use L1? Should we use L2? So that is the first decision that you make. Then second decision would be what it would be our entire tech ecosystem, right? What are the different pieces that would come together to build our final product? So that becomes the job of the blockchain architect. CTO is like the CTO of any other company. So same role. Then we have front-end developer, full stack developer, smart contract auditor, smart contract developer. Now on each of these, I've written posts. You can check out my blog. I've made streams. You can check them out. So I've explained it to them, to those in quite a lot of detail. So if you want to get into tech, those are the options for you. If you are like from a finance background, say an MBA, then there are two options. You could become a token economist or a DeFi analyst. Now again, for these, I've made separate videos. You can have a look at them. Very interesting options. If you're from legal, then blockchain lawyer is one, where you take care of the compliance and legal issues, or crypto crime investigator, where you would work for police departments, tax enforcement agencies, private projects to handle crypto hacks and crimes. If you are from a business kind of a background or you want to go into that, community manager is a very good option, or social media and sales and marketing, like in any other company. But because Web3 projects are very community driven, the importance of a community manager is much more in a Web3 project as compared to anything else. And then others, you have content creators, customer support, UI, UX designer, product and project managers. Those are similar to any other industry. Now, there are lots of very good career options available. And I mentioned a lot of the good sites where you can see these jobs. Now, I have only one suggestion. No matter what you're doing, please learn as per the practical requirements. So before you learn or you join any course, see what are the skills that are required in the companies when you apply for a job, right? Read the posting by the company. So you can go through sites like web3.career, see what the company wants, and then make sure you learn only those skills. Otherwise, you may end up learning a lot of theoretical stuff which is of no use. So please remember that. And also make sure you learn as per the questions asked in interviews. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, I've put a lot of posts there with the interview questions. Yes, Junaid has put the link to web3.career. Click it. You will find hundreds of jobs, right? In fact, why don't I just show it to you guys? Give me a second. Are you guys able to see this on my screen called Web3 jobs? Can someone tell me if it's visible? Can you see some reddish background with no? Okay, give me a second. Yeah, I'll just share my screen again. Just give me 1 second. Let me know if you can see it now. You should be able to see a red screen with Web3. Yes, it's visible. Awesome. So yeah, Kavita, I'll answer your question shortly. So when you go to a site like this, can you see here there are so many options. So here it is written project manager, game developer, CTO. So I want you to actually click on whichever area you are interested in. Click on that and see what are the skill sets companies are looking for, and only learn from that point of view. So for example, here, if you see something called community manager, right? Now, when we click into it, we will see all the community manager jobs. Okay, for some reason, it's really slow internet today. Yeah, okay. So here you see all the community manager jobs. They have listed 600 jobs. So click into them and see, and you will realize there are some common skills that are required. So make sure you learn practically and then move. Now your question about how does a fresher start off? That's a very good point, because many times you will see that they are only asking for people with experience. So for that, I would say the best way is get internships, because that also gives you solid experience. And secondly, build your own project. Who's stopping you? If you learn something and you build an open source project and put it up on GitHub, and then you can write it in your resume, as a potential employer, I will look at it and I will say, wow, this guy's built a project, so they have the background. So if you're not able to get a job because of no experience, why not simply, build your own projects, do internships? Those are some very easy ways to get in. Yeah. Prathamesh's question is about front-end new technologies for Web3. Yes. So Prathamesh, I built something called the Web3 tech stack, but that's a slightly more advanced topic. So I won't be able to cover it today, but maybe in one of the other sessions I'll talk about it. So Kavita, I hope that answers your question about experience, internships, and building your own open source products. I think those are two very good ways of going. As a smart contract developer, from where we can start? Do you mean from a learning perspective or a working perspective, Ashish? So once I get that answer from you, okay. Yuganka has an interesting question. What is the point of having gas fee? If you don't have gas fee, then people could put fake transactions or dummy transactions, like we get spam email. So people will put spam transactions and the network gets clogged. So by having gas fee, you're preventing that. And of course, the cons is it makes transactions expensive, right? A lot of people are interested in Web3 internships. Okay. Kavita's point is it's a recession period. Half of the companies have dropped. Yeah, that's definitely a problem which is happening today. So let me think about this and give you guys more idea. I was just thinking that, I wanted to do a small session where I'll teach you guys how to practically make an application. And then maybe if you guys make your own applications and we put them up on GitHub and all, maybe it'll become easier. Let me work on this issue. If a lot of you are interested in this about internships and all, I'll try to help you guys out. But I would also like to add that sites like web3.career are listing internships. So there are hundreds of internships also, and try for remote ones for startups based in other countries. Even that's a very good opportunity. Yeah? Yuganka's question, why don't all blockchains have gas fees? To the best of my knowledge, I think all of them do. In fact, which one doesn't have a transaction fee or a gas fee? Yuganka, if you would give me an example, because if you look at all of them, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of them are charging fee. Abhishek says, if Web3 is an umbrella term for blockchain, metaverse, sure, you could say that, definitely. Post-London Open gas fee is also an incentive-based, okay. Will companies accept non-IT professionals who have experience in other fields? Arun Kumar, that's a tough question to answer. So at my time, there was no computer science degree, right? I joined college in 1991 or something like that. At that time, I didn't have it. So that was never a problem for me. I mean, by qualification, I'm a BCom LLB, but I've been working in tech all my life. But today, it's kind of difficult because, I mean, as any company, you would always prefer to take someone who's got a computer science background because they would have learned so much in those 4 years also. So usually companies would prefer a computer science degree or an IT degree over non for tech roles. But then there are a lot of other non-tech roles also. Prakash says YouTube has everything. Yes, definitely, Prakash. There's lots of stuff on YouTube, but sometimes it becomes very difficult because see, there are 10,000 videos you may find on YouTube. You can't go through 10,000. So be careful whose videos you follow. I mean, you should like their style of teaching, or the 1,000 people who will teach you. Yeah? We can connect on GitHub also. Yes, definitely. Somebody's asked about starting to learn smart contracts. So Hamza, you could simply go to Crypto Zombies and start learning Solidity from there also. Or you could straight away go to OpenZeppelin, download some libraries and see how smart contracts are written. Okay, if you can do something practical for DeFi site, sure, I'll keep that in mind. Prakash says, I've started getting internship interviews now. Oh, Prakash, that's very good to hear that you're getting. And in fact, attending a lot of meetups online and offline is a very good way of networking. Plus, write when you create good content for LinkedIn, write about what kind of stuff you're doing in Web3. That's how people will come to know you and your network will expand. Amitesh says he's applied for 20 plus internships. Sorry to hear that none of them have replied. I wish you all the best. I'm sure, I mean, things will get better. Uh, what type of projects we could be able to make by Web3 and hackathons? Yeah, Anshuman, that's a very good idea. So, are you aware that we are doing something called Encrypt 2022, where many teams are coming together to build a project, and then there's a huge cash prize and all also. Maybe you could take part in that. Creator team, if you could share the URL to the Encrypt 2022. Crypto Zombie, someone has shared the URL. That may be useful for you guys. So what kind of projects? So for the hackathon, we made a list of about 10 projects based on the Government of India's list of blockchain use cases. So if you enroll for that, you'll be able to see the list and get some good ideas around that. Teja says, eat the blocks from YouTube gives you a good start. I've not seen it, but Teja is recommending that you try out their channel. For learning Solidity, what is a good platform for non-tech guys? I've heard a lot of good things about Crypto Zombies. So Abhishek, you could try using Crypto Zombies. Okay. Okay, so I think those are, yeah. So Team Creator has put the link for the Encrypt 2022. So have a look at that. So this is more or less what I had in mind for today. This is the first session. I'm going to do another one which will go deeper into it. And I'm also going to plan out some sessions around deeper tech, like how to build a Web3 application start to end. But for those sessions, you have to pay using Learn tokens. So you can earn Learn tokens by attending any program on Creator, and then you have to use them to do premium products. So keep learning and keep collecting Learn tokens. And I'm going to come out with a lot of courses around it, and you have to just pay Learn tokens as fees. So I hope to see a lot of you guys doing that. Team Creators also mentioned that Keshav has a stream at 3 p.m. on crypto investing. So those of you who are interested in learning about that, that's Keshav Maheshwari, right? Could you just clarify that? Yuganga represents good courses on Udemy also. Awesome. Yeah, Keshav Maheshwari is a good friend of mine. I just wanted to confirm with him who's doing this session. So you can see that he's doing a session at 3 p.m. So if you want to learn about finance stuff, he's a very good guy to learn from. Someone else says that Web3 career is not going forward. Okay. So Gagan, in that case, there are other sites. So on Insta, I made a list of about 6 or 8 of these sites. Just find that post. So there's cryptocurrency jobs, there's LinkedIn, there are many other sites you can use. So if you feel you're not getting good response from the Web3 career ones, try out the other sites. Okay. Prakash is asking if my AMA stream for yesterday's Encrypt has been recorded. Yes, Prakash, I'm sure it is. I saw it. It's on my Twitter for sure. It must be on my YouTube and LinkedIn. So when I stream on publicly on Creator, it automatically goes to my LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. So you can even see it there. Yeah. Okay. Amitesh says if anyone wants to join his team for the hackathon, then he has put his WhatsApp number. You guys can click and connect to him. Amitesh says they're going to build something amazing. All the best, Amitesh. I hope you guys build something awesome. Any other questions? Okay. Prathamesh says, please tell me my answer. Prathamesh, could you tell me what your question was exactly? Are there any devs you know we can follow for Solidity for beginners? No, unfortunately, I don't. I'll try to find someone, but offhand, I don't recall. Anshul wants to attend my token economics, but the timings are during working hours. Anshul, which particular program of mine are you referring to? I don't have anything scheduled on token economics as of right now. Rashmita wants to write a research paper on Web3. What basic things should I get to know? So, okay, you know what? Let me share this mind map. Give me a second. So the mind map that we were covering, there are certain parts of it which I'm not doing today, but I will share the link. Hold on. Let me know if you can see the mind map. Are you guys able to see it on the screen? Teja, thanks for your comment. Okay, so I put the link. So Rashmita, what you need to do is, you see this lower part where I spoke about infrastructure and about developer tools. So here I mentioned all the categories and names under them. I won't be covering it today, obviously, but if you want to do something, then these are the things you need to keep in mind. So I have just put this, I think I put the link, I'll put it again. So go to this link, download this mind map, and then see what I've written under the developer tools. That is something you should do before you go into your research paper. Okay. Okay, I think that answers most of your questions. So great. I look forward to interacting with you guys more in the future. And if you're already doing my Web3 Basics free course and you're part of the WhatsApp groups, you'll keep getting more material every day, and we'll be doing another session next week. So I look forward to seeing you guys. And Keshav's session URL is here, so you can attend that also. Anshul, 11th October. I'm not actually sure which one this is on 11th October. So, token economics class, team creator, could you clarify which class that is, because I'm not able to recall if I've scheduled something. Vivan, could you just share the link, because I don't think, did we reset it? I mean, maybe I've forgotten. My bad. Okay, just send me the URL. Let me have a look at it. Yeah, so I'm going to share the links to my WhatsApp group. So for token economics, I have, for Web3 Basics, I have a free course running. Okay, I've shared two WhatsApp group links. So if one of them is full, join the other one, because I think there's a limit of 512 or 13 members on WhatsApp. So just join one of them if you are interested in doing the free WhatsApp Web3 Basics course. Token economics, Kavita, I'm going to have a look at it, because I often can't remember what session that is. But definitely, if I've scheduled it, it must be there. I'll have a look at it and schedule. But if you're following me on Creator, you'll always be informed whenever I have another session. Happy says, where to find the resources to study in detail. Yeah, so Happy, I run two blogs. One is called DeFi blog. That is for the decentralized finance and the finance stuff. And another is called the blockchain blog, which is for the tech stuff. Let me share the links with you guys. You can subscribe to them and it will be useful. So just check, I have put the first link. Yeah, so the link which I have just put, that is for my blockchain blog. So if you're interested in tech related stuff, that is the blog for you. And if you are interested in the DeFi related stuff, then I have just put the second link. So I would recommend sign up for both of these, subscribe to both. So whenever I post something, you'll immediately get it. So on the first one, it's usually the tech stuff. On the second one, it's the finance stuff. Yeah, Kavita's asked for my, you got that. Okay, Prathamesh says Kavita is asked you to share some. Okay, and by the way, I have a warning here. If any of you guys are going to follow me on Instagram, there are multiple fake accounts there. So I will tell you, please be very, very careful. See, this is my handle, right? ROHASNAGPAL. Nobody else in the world has this name. So I have all handles only in this name. So if you ever see a social media handle where there is a dot in it, underscore, official, anything, that's a fake. So please be very careful, because I have multiple fake accounts and they're trying to con money out of people, saying they will teach them trading. I do not teach crypto trading. And please be sure you do not follow a fake account. Okay. So any other questions? Okay, then I think for today, let's kind of end the session. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the future sessions. Bye-bye.